Let me first start with a couple of disclaimers. One is my sincere gratitude to the Sydney Northwest Muslim community for honoring us by inviting us. And indeed, we are honored to be here today to share a very unique event that has happened in the recent past in a far, far land away from here. And the second disclaimer is, during my presentation tonight, I will be attributing success to individuals or groups or human beings. But please remember that all victory comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything. Whether it is good or bad, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So probably I will not mention it in every step of my presentation that this victory belongs to Allah. But that is the core principle that we should build upon our understanding. The other disclaimer is that this is not a political lecture. And I will give you a context of what happened, and then we will dwell more into the lesson that we learned from this revolution. And I hope if you have any questions, anything that is not clear to you, the field is open and there's nothing to hide. So what happened? On 5th of August 2024, Bangladesh, a tiny country of 170 million people in the Southeast Asia. 85% of the population is Muslim. Notionally Muslim or practicing Muslim, you can define it whatever you like, but they're Muslims. They attained their second independence after 1971. If you know history, in 1971, Bangladesh got its independence from formerly West Pakistan through a bloody and elongated war, which lasted for 9 months. The government of Sheikh Hasina, I really would not like to use the word government, but nevertheless, that was the government at the time of Sheikh Hasina Wajed, was uprooted by a massive, unprecedented student people uprising. Sheikh Hasina, until then the Iron Lady of Bangladesh, fled to India. All her cabinet members either fled or gone hiding. Politicized police leaders absconded, leaving no police protection in the entire country for 10 days. On 8th of August, an interim government was sworn in. So this is the background. One may ask this question, in an Islamic setting such as this, what is the relevance of talking about this kind of revolution? My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Islam is not divorced from the society en masse. Islam is not divorced from the lives and the sufferings of Muslims all around the globe. I don't want to mention any particular place or name, you know what I refer to. We must feel, as Prophet ﷺ said, that we are like one body. If one part is heart, the other part must feel it. And I think in the entire Ummah, this was missing for a long, long time. Yes, in piecemeal, we empathize with the sufferings with our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in West Bank, in many other parts of the world. But have we done enough to free them from this tyranny, from these shackles? And perhaps in this revelation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us some lessons. Not necessarily what I'm going to show you today is all lessons, but this is a kind of an indication that I'd like to throw to this audience who are much more knowledgeable than me, and then inshallah we can come up with some kind of understanding. So let us put it in context.
You can hold it.
In the recent past, we have seen few revelations. One in Tiananmen Square. Those who are old enough like me, 60 years old, they all remember. Those who are younger, you perhaps not remember in 1989, 1 million people gathered in Tiananmen Square. Nearly 1,000 killed. and it lasted 7 weeks. And then we look at the Jasmine Revolution, those who are familiar with it, in Tunisia in 2010, characterized by self-immolation of Muhammad Bouazizi, a street vendor. You know how that revolution sparked? 6,000 people descended to street to protest, nearly 900 arrests, and the president resigned, and the change ensued. Wallahu alim, whether that change, continued, I do not know. January 25 revolution. I hope there are Egyptian brothers here. 2011, social media inspired by Wael Ghanim. Approximately 30,000 descended to streets, nearly 12,000 arrests. And about the death toll, there are debatable figures, wavering between 100 to 500. Allah knows best. Now, why I'm saying this? I'm going to portray this with the revolution that happened in Bangladesh. Bangladesh is a country nestled between Indian boundaries. It is surrounded by India on 3 sides, and on southern side of it, it is the Bay of Bengal. India has a political interest in Bangladesh. We need to remember this. And that's why India plays a political card with the secularist regime in Bangladesh to put them into power. Now, if we look at the July 2024 revolution that I'm going to talk about today, it all started as a benign quota system reform demand in early June 2024. What is a quota system? Bangladesh has a very high unemployment rate. It is a developing country. Poverty is still widespread. So government jobs are very sought after, lucrative. And every father and mother, every aspirant young guys, they aspire to become public servant. In this public system, the government enacted a rule where 56% of the people were recruited through quota system. Of them, 30% were from the freedom fighters and their children and the grandchildren and their grandchildren and so on. Only 44% were merit-based. So the students who finished their universities, the Gen Z, they're aspirant for their future endeavors in life. They were desperate to get jobs. And this was not playing into their favor. So they came into streets with the demand that the government abolish this 56% quota in totality, and every single job should be given on a merit basis. This is where it all started. The regime wanted to crush the movement through their student wing in early July 24. So the government didn't want to negotiate because it's a autocratic fascist regime, and they wanted to crush it through their students. Mid-July 2024, police and paramilitary joins the regime. Indiscriminate shooting happens. Till today, as I speak, more than 1,000 dead, nearly 30,000 injured, and approximately 12,000 are arrested. Late July 2024, more than 10 million people swarmed the capital city. Think about it, compared to the other 3 revolutions I talked about. 10 million people, this is the conservatives' estimate, swarmed the capital city. Another estimate suggests it was closer to 20 million. They all came to the city. And to be honest, we have a video where the police officer was speaking to the home minister at the time and saying, I have 1 gun, and with each bullet, I can only take 1 life. But I cannot deter all of them. I shoot 1, I kill 1, but the rest keep coming towards me. That is the big problem. So such brutality was enacted upon these unarmed protesters. Nearly 1,000 dead, 17,000 or so arrested, 56,000 injured, of which 60% with bullet wounds. Early August, government was toppled. 5th of August, government was toppled. Sheikh Hasina fled the country. And it showed the people's power. Why Sheikh Hasina was toppled? Was it just the quota movement? It is not. There are a few issues. Her father was the leader during the freedom fight. And she wanted to make Mujibur Rahman a demigod of Bangladesh. Every single nook and corner of the city, she built a huge life-size monument of her father, a sculpture of her father. They engineered elections. No one could give a vote since 2009. If you go to the voting center, the goons of the political system, they would send you back and say that why do you take the audacity to come here? We have already casted your vote. And that's what they did to everyone. Violently they suppressed all the opposing views, whatever it is. Massive corruption, and I'm going to give you some examples of what happened. But the most important thing is unprecedented attack on Islam. And there was so much atrocity committed against our alims, our madrasa students, indiscriminately killed, jailed, maimed, enforced disappearance. All this happened to keep her in the power. So making Mujib a demigod. In 2009, they enacted a special act where if you speak anything about Mujib, you can be imprisoned for 7 years. One school teacher, she asked her students to draw a cartoon of the father of the nation, Mujib, the so-called father of the nation of Mujib. And one of the kids, 9-year-old, the picture he drew was not looking like Mujib. And this kid's father and mother were called upon by the police station. And they had to spend next 3 weeks in detention. This was the situation in Bangladesh. Wide-scale Mujib sculpture established. Every single foreign mission in the entire world, they have to have a Mujib corner. And when you enter, you pay homage, respect to this Mujib corner. This man died in 1975 in a violent coup. Under Information Security Act, any criticism of the Mujib and his family members made criminal offense with up to 7 years of imprisonment. A city mayor from our party was arrested in 2021 for refusing to approve a mural of Mujib because the tradition of some among Bangladesh's majority Muslim faith considered depictions of people in murals or statues to be idolatry. That's what happened in Bangladesh. In 2009, through a sham election, Bangladesh Awami League came to power, and India and America wanted Awami League to be in power because the other parties, they thought that at the time they were too pro-Islamic. So in the name of war against terrorism, they created a terror in Bangladesh. In 2014, Hasina regime conducted election without any opposition party. And she got support from the West, she got support from India. Indian Secret Service openly said this. Bangladesh's foreign minister once said that India and we are like husband and wife. And the Prime Minister famously said openly that what I gave to India, they will never forget us. They will never forgo us. But perhaps they forgot that Allah is there. Wallahu khairul makirin. Allah is the best of the planet. We need to little bit of patience. In 2019, though opposition participated, but BBC reported open ballot box stuffing the night before election. In 2024, very interesting election happened in Bangladesh. All the opposition parties, they boycotted this election. Hasina not only selected her party members who will contest the election, she also chose the opposition members who will contest the election. And it was openly said in TV interviews, the opposition parties, that we are waiting approval from Hasina to ensure that who is going to become part of the opposition party. So it became a farce in Bangladesh. So since 2009, no one could vote in Bangladesh except some government supporters. And I will quickly go through the suppressing opposing views. In February 2009, government orchestrated a heinous crime to kill 57 officers of the Bangladesh Rifles in cahoot with the Indian Secret Service. Established a sham war crime tribunal through which served death sentence to many Jamaat Islami leaders. At the time, approximately 6 of them were hanged without a fair trial. They were all innocent people. May 5 and 6, 2013, the Deobandi-aligned Hifazat al-Islam protested to reinstate the blasphemy law because during this time of Hasina, the seculars were rising up. A massive massacre was conducted. As far as we know, the death toll was 3,000. They cut off all the lights. They cut off all the communication. All internet was closed. Army moved in, indiscriminately shot all these madrasa students. And approximately 3,000 madrasa students were killed that night. No proper official death count we still know today. There's nothing. The Khaleda Zia, who was the main opposition party, was imprisoned on sham charges. They enacted the Digital Security Act in 2018, giving police sweeping powers to detain people without any warrant. So if you said anything about the government, you will be behind the bar. More disturbingly, enforced disappearance became very common. All dissenting voices were brutally maimed. DTFI, which is a state-funded intelligence body, established secret prison in Dhaka, Cantonment, called the Mirror House. In Bengali, it's called the Ainaghar. And a Sweden-based news media first brought this to light. People were detained there for years. After the fall of Hasina, 3 people came out from that detention. For 10 years, they have been in that detention without seeing a light, without seeing any human being. They were given just bare enough minimum food to make them keep alive. And approximately 700 of the people who were part of this enforced disappearance, perhaps many of them are still in those prisons. The army and the current caretaker government are going through this process of finding out them. Al Jazeera made a documentary on brutal killings of the opposition voices by Hasina. You can see it in the YouTube. Al Jazeera also made another documentary on cronies and dictator of all the prime minister's men. Massive corruption. Since 2008, US $149 billion was siphoned to offshore accounts. Bangladesh's annual budget is, you know what? $69 billion. 2 years worth of budget siphoned to the overseas. Just one police officer chief alone had US $100 million worth of cash and wealth, and he fled the country. Hasina admitted that her servant had US $34 million stolen money, openly in a media conference, as in the month of maybe April or May. To acquire such wealth, they used infrastructure projects, and they advertised as development of the nation. I'll give you a few examples to keep this talk short. Padda Bridge, which costed US $3.9 billion. India could build 19 similar bridges with that money. All these monies were used for corruption purposes. Flyovers and highways, highest cost per kilometer in the entire Asia region. Stealing money from banks. Even Central Bank had millions stolen through action movie type heist. Huge amount of money were transferred. Now look at the attack on Islam. Jamaat Islami leaders were hanged to death. Jamaat was made almost leaderless. Islamic forums brought under surveillance. You cannot speak anything in Islamic gathering. Anything that goes against the government, those people were arrested. One of the famous alim of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mamoon al-Haq, was son of Sheikh Azizul Haq, one of the Grand Mufti of Bangladesh. He was arrested and his character was assassinated to such an extent that he was arrested on a charge of sleeping with the women outside wedlock. That women never existed on the face of the earth. And subhanAllah, many other examples of these ulamas have been putting behind bars, those who spoke against the government. And I've shown you a picture here. In this picture, this is the Rapid Action Battalion, a government-funded agency who goes after people. In their Jessore camp, they showed some terrorist books. In Bengali, we call it Ugrobadi Boi. These are some terrorist books, extremist books. And if you look at these books, first book is about jinn and angels, according to Quran. Second book is Masail about the female issues. The third book you'll see the complete Salah training. And further you go, it's the life story of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And also the Fadail Amal, the book that Tabligh Jamaat uses pretty often. These books were considered as extremist books. Anyone who has these books will be considered following an extremist ideology. Stereotype of beard, hijab and caps were promulgated. Anywhere you see in the television dramas and everything, anyone who has a beard used to be a villain. Anyone who has a cap, he's a thief. So gradually they were ingraining into the hearts and minds of people that these people are inherently evil. If you want to be a good person, you have to be secular. Peace TV of Dr. Zakir Naik was banned for no reason. Absolutely banned. And no transmission of Peace TV was conducted in Bangladesh. So in the backdrop of these atrocities, what happened? The opposition parties, they agitated many movements. They wanted to overthrow the system, establish a caretaker government, to have a fairer election. Nothing succeeded. So in the back of these atrocities came success in July 2024 by the students and the people's movement. Why this students' movement succeeded? We are going to go through some of the lessons from Islam. The first one is, this movement was called anti-discrimination, students against anti-discrimination, against discrimination. They wanted a fairer society. This is a generation of the current generation of kids. For them, what happened in 1971 makes no difference. For them, if they finish their degree, are they going to get a job? For them, it is very important the environment is, looked after. For them, it is very important that democratic system is established in the society. If you follow a religion, they want everyone should have the freedom to practice their religion. If you do not follow religion, that person should have a freedom to not to choose to follow a religion. This is our newest generation. They were finding it very hard that through this system, whatever they had in Bangladesh, it was not working. So they carried a nation's grievance, a just cause. They wanted a fairer society. So if we have a just cause, wherever we are, as the Prophet ﷺ came against all persecution in Mecca, in his life, when he went to Medina, did he take revenge on the Meccan people? He never took revenge on them. But he came back with a fairer cause. He wanted to establish oneness of Allah. This removal of this discrimination in the society is a part of Islamic education. And perhaps this gelled all the people together. They all found that there is justness in it. They had a unity of hearts. If you look at this number of people, 10 million people descending to the city of Dhaka, all of them, I don't think everyone knew everyone, but their hearts were united in one cause. We Muslims need to unite. If we want a fairer system for us, if we want our brothers in Gaza to be free from the shackles, we need to put back all those differences, the madhabs, the aqidas, you name it, the moonsighting, not moonsighting, all these differences. We need to unite our heart. We are one ummah. We have no nations. We are the nation of the Prophet ﷺ. On the day of judgment, Allah will not ask, I will not go under the banner of Prophet ﷺ as a Bengali or as an Egyptian or Lebanese or an Australian. I will go as Ummati Muhammad. So we need to unite our hearts. These students in Bangladesh, they showed us that if the cause is great, righteous, and if you stay together, your heart is together, you can surmount a mountain. You can defeat a tyrant like Hasina. So this is one of the great lessons of this. We need to have a simple demand. We do not need to have multiple demands. One single thing. We want free Palestine. We do not want to bring any other issues in. West Bank, Gaza, what Saudi Arabia does, what Muslim countries does, what this ruler does. We Muslim needs to unite on one single principle. The day we do it, Allah will bring victory for us. These students showed us. When the government did not budge to their demand, immediately these students left their quota movement causes. They said that nothing will make us happy except you must go. One demand, Hasina must resign. And they stayed on that path. 840 deaths, bullets after bullets, but they were flocking, they were running, they were coming like flies into the cities. To the extent that even army and the police, they gave up. And the Prime Minister had to leave. 24 hours ago, she did not think about this ignominious exit. So if we can put up our one single cause, why we are doing what, we unite on this, and that cause is a righteous one, Allah will bring victory for us. Now, every revolution has a watershed moment. Every revolution. When the government and the students were at a loggerhead, a stalemate, nothing was moving. At that moment, this boy, the boy you see in the screen, his name is Abu Said. He spread his hands like eagles, and the police were firing right straight to his chest. And he was shot dead there. This is the time this revolution changed. The entire nation of 170 million people in Bangladesh, they waited last 16 years for this moment. After this, every single student, they were known as Abu Said. Everyone was Abu Said. They did not want to walk away from this until Abu Said's death is revenged. So we need heroes like this. We need Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. We need Umar ibn al-Khattab. We need Abu Said like this. We need heroes like this. How these heroes are being raised? From the very childhood. From the very childhood. the mothers and the fathers need to think about whether my child should become a doctor or an engineer, or a hafiz and an engineer, a God-loving son or a dunya-loving son. We need to think hard. Muslims are not subjugated because of the West. We need to leave aside. We need to come out from that paradigm. We need to look at the mirror, assess ourselves. This one I cannot really leave out. Camaraderie, friendship, concerns for others, brotherhood. These are very important part of victory. If we do not feel for as a brother, Allah will not give us victory. Why? The guy you're looking at in the slides, his name is in Bengali Mugdha. If you translate that into English, charmed or charming. This guy is a freelancer. He earns more money than a public servant. He's not in need of this quota system. He's never going to work in the government service. But he came out in the street, and you see in his hand, he was carrying what? Water bottles. And he was giving water bottles to everyone, all the street protesters. Do you want water? Do you want water? And while he is doing this, the police shot him in the head. We need to feel for our brothers. We need to develop this brotherhood. Allah is not subjugating us because of the West. Allah is subjugating us because we have issues within us. We have problems within us. The day we get over these issues, Allah gives us victories in piecemeal. Bangladesh revolution is an example of that. And then finally, you can see this is one of the many statues that was torn down. But always remember, Allah brings down arrogance. Doesn't matter what it is. Even in our victory, we should not be arrogant. We should be humble, because we must remember the subjugation that we are facing today is from Allah, because we deserve it. If the victory comes today, this is from Allah, because we deserve that. We did something good. And Allah is not going to hand over goodness until we are good too. Brothers and sisters, this presentation was not meant to hurt anyone, just to raise an awareness that what's happening in other parts of the world is not detached from us. We as a Muslims are all brothers. May Allah raise the ummah that is like the ummah of Khalid ibn Walid. May Allah raise the ummah, that ummah is like Nuruddin Zenki. May Allah raise the ummah, that ummah is like Umar ibn al-Khattab. And then Allah will give us victory.